Welcome to r/PettyRevenge by Redical. Accuse me of public urination? Good luck getting my parking spot. Lady. TLDR at bottom. A couple of months ago, during the first half of my workday, my belt broke as I was buckling it back after using the restroom. So, at lunch I run to the local Wally World and pick up a cheap replacement until I can buy a high quality one. Go in, buy a belt, then head back to my car. I get back to my car and put the belt on while standing at my car. As I am putting on the belt, I notice a car has stopped in the aisle waiting on me to back out. It was busy and the lot full, but I had lucked into the first spot next to the handicapped space. Primo spot. I guess she got annoyed with waiting, and as I was finishing putting my belt on, I guess she thought I had decided just to piss in the parking lot in the middle of the day. She rolls her window down to confront me. She will be IL=idiot lady. IL. Did you just piss in the parking lot? Me. What are you talking about? IL. You did. You just pissed in this parking lot. Disgusting. Me. Hey dumbus. Who the hell pisses in the middle of a parking lot? I was putting on a belt I just bought. Mind your own damn business. IL. Bullshit. You just pissed in the parking lot. IL. Like hell I ain't. Then the standoff begins. No way in hell am I letting her get this space. Even if I have to sit there all afternoon. We sit there 5 minutes. 10 minutes. At least 15 minutes. With her even complaining to her cart wrangler about it. He doesn't do anything of course. Then I see my chance. A big truck parked about 5-6 spots further down the aisle is leaving and needs space to back out. And she is blocking him from doing so. She backs up a bit and also gets closer to the cars on the other side of the aisle so the truck has room to back out. This allows another car coming up the aisle to get behind the truck. I back out of the spot really quick as the truck is backing out. She can't get around the truck to get my spot. The car coming up the aisle gets behind the truck and because IL had moved her car over, the car coming up the aisle goes around her and gets my spot. IL didn't have a turn signal on or anything since she had sat there so long. I circle back around the next aisle to see her reaction. She lays on the horn and yells at the car who pulled into my spot. She is livid. Red face. Cursing. Etc. The driver tells her to duck off. In the meantime, another car had come and gotten the space the truck backed out of so IL had to keep circling to find a spot. Man it was sweet. TLDR. Crazy lady sees me putting on a new belt in parking lot. Thinks I had just openly pissed in the parking lot. Words ensue. Followed by standoff of me not giving the spot and her waiting for it. Another vehicle leaves causing her to have to back up to make room. A third car swoops in and gets my spot so she has to keep looking for a parking space. Cut off and vaguely threaten my wife. Enjoy 5 years of being slightly delayed from going home. 5 years ago, my wife and I started new jobs in a new city. Right down the road from each other's offices. Employed with the same government agency. Our schedules were roughly similar for several months before she went to a night shift. So we would occasionally encounter the same people or vehicles in our commute. The commute consisted mostly of 2-lane roads with no passing. One day, my wife gets cut off by a fancy black sports car with a vanity plate, let's say Dong Law. He had been tailgating her for nearly 10 minutes already, as she had the nerve to only go 5 miles per hour over the speed limit on a busy downtown road. So, the moment he could, he cut into the other lane and passed her, giving her maybe only a foot or two of space after doing so, and forcing her to hit the brakes suddenly in response. She honked her horn at him justifiably in response. To her surprise, Donglaw stopped his car in front of her. Donglaw gets out of his vehicle and is an older balding male in a fancy tailored suit. He starts marching towards my wife's much cheaper car shouting and ranting with his fists balled up. And he hit her car a couple times. Thankfully, it didn't get worse. Because my wife stayed in her car and already had her phone out calling 911. Incidentally, that's also her place of employment at the time. And she was wearing a uniform which bears a bit of a resemblance to a sworn officer's uniform. Dongler apparently notices all this, apparently also taking note of her name tag, after putting a crack in her windshield, and immediately heads back to his car and drives off. My wife moved to night shifts and my own schedule adjusted slightly. And I was working a typical 9-5. Heading from an office along mostly the same route that my wife followed. Lo and behold, I soon discover that with my adjusted hours, I was leaving from the same parking garage as Dongler every day of the week at the same time. For the past nearly 5 years, I waited for him almost every day of the week and made sure to drive home in front of him at exactly the speed limit. This easily extended his home commute time by 5 to 10 minutes each day, depending on how much other traffic was on the road. He tried tailgating me, changing his hours that he was at the office, and multiple other ways to escape this delay in getting home. But thanks to an accomplice in his office, I never had a problem learning his schedule or what vehicle he was driving when he sold his old one. During times when I would take a vacation, I had comrades from my department take up the mantle of driving slowly home to inconvenience this guy. I've gone through 3 cars in the ensuing time frame, but he never seemed to want to make a confrontation of it. As of 3 months ago, I moved to a new office building and Dongler retired shortly after. The saga has ended, and I can only assume he's off to enjoy a retirement of kicking babies or whatever it is lawyers do in their free time. It was a good run, and would always fill me with satisfaction at the end of each day, no matter how much crap I may have faced. TLDR. Achieved stress-free living by inconveniencing a lawyer for the past 5 years. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Apparently this was deleted at some point while I slept. Not really sure what that was about. So let me address some questions I've received. There's always doubters, but some actually raised some good points that require clarifications. I cannot breastfeed my child? Get a shitstorm. English is not my first language, so if you can correct me, do so. This story happened to my mom, so I don't have all the little details. Cast. M equals my mom. SD equals stepdad. LB equals little brother. IW equals ignorant worker. Manager equals manager. So, the company of my stepdad's friend got broke, and he needed to leave because he can't get paid anymore and the company got shut down. My mom didn't had a job at the time because she was working on to open her own company, and she just got started with it. But it isn't important. My mom knows a lot about the German bureaucracy. So she went to the employment office with my stepdad and my little half-brother, 1 year old, to apply for the unemployment benefits for my stepdad sometime before that. But they got some issues to apply this, so they got personally there to fix that. Side note. We needed money for our family, the house, food and bills. So it was important for us. They were called to the office to finally apply for this unemployment benefits. The conversation went like this. My mom left the building and started to plan a little revenge. She wrote this incident to the local newspaper as discrimination, just because she fed my little brother. My mom wrote additionally a letter to the manager. She wanted an apology from this behavior of his employees and from him. After some time, the employment office got a little shitstorm and some experts commented to this incident that what the IW did was discrimination. Keep in mind, this ignorant worker was a woman, and she felt offended that my mom fed my brother. 2 weeks later the manager calls my mom. Manager. Hello. I got your letter and the IW and me had a discussion about that. I am sorry for that. She will never do it again, and all the other employees got informed that it is allowed to breastfeed in the building. And I managed that your husband will get his unemployment benefit and that everything got done for you. Happy. Thank you. I appreciate that. I never thought that there are still people in 2019 who are against breastfeeding in public or in public buildings. Soon I will go to the employment office and will search for the IW. I know her name. When I'm going to see her, I'm going to stare her right in the eyes and give her a little smile. If my girlfriend lets you in front of her in the bathroom line, be grateful. My girlfriend and I have about an hour and a half layover. We get off the first flight and she needed to use the bathroom, so she went in while I watched her bags. I see this lady that has 2 kids in those harnesses keeping them close by. She yanking them and yelling at them for dropping their toys and hustles them into the bathroom. My girlfriend comes out and we get some food while waiting for our flight in an hour. We get on the plane and I fall asleep and wake up a few hours later to us landing. My girlfriend nudges me and points out that the lady I saw earlier with the kids was also on our flight. My girlfriend then says that when she went into the bathroom she was loudly complaining about how she was going to be late and didn't have time for a line. My girlfriend says she could go in front of her and the lady moves in front of her and says, "Well, there is still all these other people in front of you." She was on our flight which wasn't for another hour. So she was just trying to cut in front of people. On top of that, she wasn't even grateful when someone let her in front. And I personally never like people that have their kids on leashes. I was joking around with my girlfriend how we should give the kids candy or something to get back at the lady. I was kidding but was still keeping my eye open for some sort of pretty revenge. It presents itself to me when I'm waiting for my girlfriend to use the bathroom and I see the lady shuffle up to me dragging her kids along. I'm in a rush. Which way to baggage claim? UHH if you read the sign above you. You'll see it's that way. I believe it's that way. I point the other direction and watch her wander off the other direction. My girlfriend yelled at me when I told her but she was still smiling. Rude to me? Thanks for the Starbucks. Tiny bit of backstory. So, my little sister is, to put bluntly, rude. She yells. Blames everyone for her problems. Tells my mom she's the reason why she has depression. And is the biggest hypocrite I know to date. We always tend to get into fights because, unlike the rest of the family, I do not like putting up with her bullshit and I tend to fight back. Since I'm the oldest, I'm the only one, other than my parents, who has a valid license. She's still on her permit so she has to work her way up to get one. Today, I had to take her to Girl Scouts. I drive my mom's old minivan and I put down the seats for spring break. The trunk's broken so we had to access our luggage somehow, and I forgot to put them back up. Mostly because I didn't need to. My youngest sister sat in the front seat and my younger hopped into the back. I didn't think much of it and drove off. About 30 seconds later, I turned around and saw her just sitting on the floor. I sternly told her to pull up one of the seats. I didn't want to get pulled over cause of her, and she, of course, ignored me. I told her again to pull up one of the seats. She said, "I don't know how." I asked her why didn't she ask me to pull up the seat before I left. She didn't answer. I was driving. I didn't want her to get hurt. Because she's my responsibility. Because I'm driving. So I, kind of pissed off, told her how to pull up the seat and to buckle her seatbelt. Which she did. Eventually, my younger sister just started to walk away from the car, leaving the car door open. I told her to come back and close my door. She did come back, but then started to try and close the door with the automatic button. Now, it doesn't work unless the car is in the park gear, and you can always close it manually from the outside. The car door wouldn't close. I wasn't in park gear. A normal person would just close the door manually. Correct? Nope. My sister begins demanding that I put the car in park so she can close the door. Keep in mind, she could also close the door manually. I told her to use her brain and she reached into the car and began to try and close it manually. From the inside. I couldn't make this shit up if I wanted to. I begin to tell her she can close it from the outside of the car. I'm started to get more and more pissed. Then she just walks away, leaving my door open. I get out of my car and close my door, kind of showing how easy it is, before driving away. Brooding in anger. I always have to put up with my sister's bullshit. I began to think that the next time she needs a ride for me, to ask for $5 or she's walking. I got home and what do I see? My younger sister's unused $15 Starbucks gift card. She might as well paying now. Right? Thank you, dear sister, for the cheese Danish and strawberry ake. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.